I grew up in Ferndale, Michigan. I'm the second oldest of 4 children. My father's American, probably like an English background. His family was here many centuries. And my mother, she's Armenian, and she was born in Beirut, Lebanon, and she came to the United States right before she met my father. So I grew up in a very culturally mixed household. I would speak Armenian to my mother, go to Armenian school, go to Armenian church, and speak English to our father, and we're involved in all sorts of American activities as well. Yeah, I had a mixed cultural background. It comes into my art often, but I wouldn't say that my art is only about that. But I think there's definitely like a kind of conflict that comes into most of my pieces that might stem from the Armenian background. My parents were very influential, the most influential people in my life, even as an artist. My mother was always encouraging, and she's an Armenian and French language teacher, and as a teacher, she was always very nurturing and into developing whatever talents she saw in her kids. And my father, he was really important in my background as an artist, because he's an engineer and he was always making things, and I would often go in the garage and see what he was making and ask him if I could help him. Of course I couldn't because I was too young, but he would help me to make things with the scraps that he had cut of the wood. And so even just the stretching of my canvases or making the frames for my pieces, I'm always thinking about those days that I spent in my dad's garage. And then also, when I graduated from college, I came home and I had no studio, no money as an art major, and no job. And my father said, "Oh, you need a studio." And I said, "Oh, I think I'll be moving out soon. I'll get a studio, don't worry." And he said, No, I think I need to make you a studio." So he cut the one-car garage in half, made a gorgeous 8 by 10 foot studio for me. Maybe it was even smaller than that, with wooden floors and huge windows and spotlighting. And I spent 6 years in that studio. I couldn't have kept making paintings or drawings without it. So it was definitely my parents, the reason why I could continue on this path. I didn't understand creativity for a long time. When I was 7, I decided that I was going to be an artist. And I drew excessively from age 3 to age 9. I don't remember doing much of anything else besides drawing. But as I went through school, I was a good student, and my mind shifted from the creative to learning things by rote memory. And I think it overtook my brain. So I guess it wasn't until I was 14 years old that I realized that I was doing myself a disservice not using my drawing talent. So I asked my mother if I could enroll in art classes in 9th grade. So I took art all throughout high school, and then even in college, I didn't think that I should major in art. I was thinking practically, so I started as a non-major at Michigan State University, and thinking that I'll do pre-med. And I took the required art history class for all the required humanities, and in art history, I realized that painting, this is what I have to do. So I declared myself an art major, and I knew this was art major, I have to do that. I don't know how I'll make money or how I'll become an artist, but my education, it was set. So anyways, understanding creativity, I didn't understand why sometimes I'd have dry spells and sometimes I'd be really creative. So I think when I was about 34 or 35, I read The Artist's Way, and I realized that every time I said no to an idea, I was cutting a path towards something new. So I was cutting my creativity. So my idea now is if something comes into my head and it's kind of nagging me for 2 or 3 weeks, I probably need to make that. And I can't take another step until I've made that idea come. So I think now I understand creativity. A lot of artists, I guess I was most impressed by the Impressionists when I had that art history class. And the Impressionists are still in my head: Degas, Manet, Toulouse-Lautrec. But when I was at Wayne State University taking some art classes, I went to a lecture by Ellen Phelan. And Ellen Phelan had graduated from Wayne State with a BFA and an MFA in the early 70s, and then had moved on to New York. And she has had I think, a successful career as a painter and as an art educator. And when I saw her presentation, I saw her artwork when she was in undergrad, and I thought, oh, her work seems to be similar to mine. She was concerned with form, and there was a really intense mood to her drawings. And then in her later work, she had these pictures of dolls. Even when it wasn't cool to be doing representational work, she was still doing representational work. And I always had the idea of her paintings in my head, that she can do these moody, washy paintings. I could too. But my current favorite painter is Peter Doig right now. So his paintings say it all for me. I just began doing landscapes, not because I'm interested in the land, but I'm interested in the air. So this painting air and atmosphere, but within the painting, I think what interests me is this conflict between calm and violence, or calm and then an uncertain future. My audience would definitely be through a gallery. I'm not trying to make any social statements with my work. If a social statement comes out, that's a byproduct of what I started with. I'm usually interested in formal aspects of something, the lighting, the atmosphere. That draws me into it, and as I work on it, I realize what it actually means to me. For instance, one of my paintings, Interface, it started with the idea of these two dolls looking at each other, and I was just interested in oh, they look interesting looking at each other. But I made a painting using the right side and the left side of my sister's face, so I thought it as a conflict of maybe good versus bad, or one thought versus another, fighting in the brain, or siblings, some sort of sibling rivalry, or it came down to even race, two ethnicities within the same race having odds, even though they're of the same blood, but being at odds against each other. So that's, for me, what came out of just looking at these two dolls facing each other. The good thing about social media is that when I'm in the studio, I'm making these pictures that ultimately I want to be seen by the world. And sometimes there is no gallery setting where they can be. So the social media gives me an opportunity to broaden my audience. If I have 50 or 200 more people interested in looking at the pictures online, it makes me more satisfied. Actually, I'm currently reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and I would say that I'm really inspired by 19th century literature. I've always read the 19th century novels, and I enjoy the history, the relationships between people, how everything seems to be, everything seems to rotate back to the main character. Every character in a book happens to come across the same person, so I just really like that small world within the 19th century novel. I guess I would like my paintings to enrich someone's life. Maybe they can make them feel happier, or maybe they can educate them in some way, but I want it to be an enriching experience to look at my paintings,